Hey everybody, at long last I am making the second one. It's been a bit of a crazy week with going to look at an apartment condo, hopefully that I'll be renting with a roommate after I get back from CYA the weekend of the 18th. We'll hopefully be moving into that, so that's one of the things I did this week, along with just a lot of crazy stuff, work, and um, yeah, so it's been a busy week. So finally have time for a second vlog. um, I'm going to continue on with Matthew 27. In the next one, even though I've read on a little farther, I just want to continue where I left off. So Matthew 27:32 through 36 is the passage that I read this time around. And the first verse that I want to talk about is 34, where they're offering him the wine and the gall to drink. And it's just an interesting note about the gall in this, which is like a kind of like a painkiller basically. And Jesus refuses to drink it. And so that's just interesting to know that he wants to feel the full pain of the crucifixion, of that sacrifice that he's making, of that punishment that he's taking. He wants to feel the full pain of that punishment that he's taking for us. So I just thought that was pretty cool. And then in verses 40 through 43, it's where people are mocking him and telling him to save himself and everything while he's up on the cross. And we know that that Jesus had the power because he was God. He had the power to save himself, but he allowed himself during this time to be under the power of man. He put himself under the power of man. And he allowed himself to feel all this pain. And I don't know if we fully understand the pain that Jesus went through, because it was more than just physical pain. It was more physical pain than I'm sure most of us have probably ever felt. And he went through that pain, but it wasn't just the physical pain, it was also an emotional pain and spiritual pain because of what this meant for him, because as a perfect person, he had to take on sin on himself, our sin on himself, and so that caused pain, physical pain, I'm sure, and then just the emotional pain of having his Father, of having God turn his face away from him. So much that he endured, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, because he chose to take our punishment on himself and to put himself under the power of men for a short time. It's absolutely crazy to think of that level of pain that he endured for us. And then looking to verse 50, there's just one word in that. It says yielded. When Jesus cried out and he yielded up his spirit. That means that he did it willingly. No one forced him to give himself up. No one forced him to die on the cross for us. He did that because he loved us. And just that phrase right there, that he yielded up his spirit, shows to us that it was willing. It proves that he was doing this willingly and out of love, and that it wasn't someone forcing this on him. And then in verse 51, it proves God's power, and just that it was him that did this with the tearing of the curtain in the temple. It was torn from the top to the bottom. It very specifically says that. And it was a very tall curtain. And so no man could have torn it from the top to the bottom. And so that was an interesting note, showing that it was God that did it and showing his power there. And just kind of a funny note at the end with the chief priests, when they tell Pilate to put a guard on the tomb and to seal it and all that. They are clearly telling everyone that they don't believe that Jesus is going to rise again, that they don't believe that he is the Messiah and all this stuff. But then just here at the end, they're like, well, let's just make sure that, let's make sure that he doesn't come back. But also let's make sure that no one makes it look like he came back by stealing the body. It's just kind of funny there at the end. And just this whole chapter is really good, just because it's talking about Jesus' sacrifice and all that he endured for us, all that he did by dying on the cross to take our punishment, and putting himself under the power of man. It's just really, really hits home, when you think of why he had to do that, why he had to die for our sin. And it's just really encouraging that he was willing to do that for us, and that he loved us so much that he did that. So that's what I have for today. I hope you found it encouraging, or that you learned something, and I will talk to you guys the next time.